age of what a 4-ounce piece of meat looks like now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, so I can gauge that. Like we went out to dinner with my family and I could gauge what to get there. I mean, I don't know what oils they cooked it in, things like that, but I at least know that I ate about the right portions.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone of that on an onboarding call. They like, oh, I'm not good at that. And I'm like, first of all restaurants do have a standard. So if you really need to know how many ounces of chicken, they should know for that particular dish, they add 4 ounces of chicken or 6 ounces or eight or 10, whatever the number is. Every restaurant should have a standard because that's how they know if they're making money or not.
Correct.
They know how much money they're spending on chicken. They know how much money they make on their chicken dinners, but they have to know how much is going to each plate,
Correct. Yeah.
generally speaking. So, yeah, and if you guys get just a cheap scale, like Shauna was saying, you will be able to eyeball in in a very short period of time. So don't spend a lot of money on the scale. You kind of need to know so that you just get a good idea of how to train your brain. What 4 or 5 or 6 ounces of chicken breast looks like versus chicken thighs. It's going to be two different things. Or
Yeah.
whitefish versus salmon, because they have different structure, the different fats in there. So it's going to make them weigh a little bit different. So the visual will be different. But like I said, once you do that several times, you know, and Shauna, you've graduated the 12 weeks. So you have 12 weeks of practice.
Right. And you know what? It makes such a difference. I mean, when we went to the restaurant was my youngest daughter's birthday and I even looked at the menu differently, and you know what's funny is we've eaten at this restaurant before. They have the calories right there, but until I started it in the program, I never even noticed that the calories were on the menu.
It's funny, that's called your reticular activating system.
Yep.
Because now it's an important piece. And once you've decided something is important, your RAS is going to see calories. It's going to see glycemic index. It's going to see glycemic load. It never would have seen those things before a program like this. If it's not on your radar, we don't see it. But if it becomes on a radar, our brain literally becomes the radar. Oh, they're talking about calories.
Yep.
What's going on there? It's
Yeah.
the coolest thing. Like,
Yeah, yeah. My kids are like, "You're getting catfish?" I said, "Yeah, I'm getting grilled catfish because that's what made sense to me after I was able to see the calories." And of course, we know the calories have been there all along. I just wasn't aware of them before.
yep, yep. That's great. I appreciate you sharing that because I know I've got a lot of really new people on the call already. So for those of you brand new, just if it feels a little overwhelming and difficult and challenging right now, it will become easier. And Shauna has done all her 12 weeks, but like she said, it just starts to come natural. It becomes the new normal.
Yeah.
So just if you're feeling overwhelmed or nervous, get with me and I can hold your hand through it. But also just know through practice it will come. Give me one second. Too many people talking. All right. All right. So thank you for sharing. Does anybody else have any other shares before I get started here? All right. Well, if you have some questions at the end of the call, please write them down. Small group today, so if you want to interrupt, unmute yourself and interrupt and ask a question. It means I've probably not answered it. No question is a stupid question. Every question is something you just don't know yet. So don't be shy, ask your questions. I love questions, as you guys will learn. I really love the questions because it helps guide me on what I talk about, so it helps me know what you don't know, and I want to give you the information the best we can. So this week we've been talking about label reading and demystifying label reading. So I'm going to kind of give you the full gamut today. Monday, we went into the toxic things that are in our foods and what those words are. And there's a top 50 toxic list. in the private group. Yesterday, I went over all the sugar names, or I'm sure there's more, but a lot of sugar names. That list that you can print out is also in the group. Today, I'm going to kind of go over all the basic stuff, and then tomorrow, I'll go into a little bit more on what we're looking for on those labels. So I will go ahead and get started. We got some opening funnies and some shout outs and some welcomes. We'll talk about what the big food companies don't want me to tell you. A little bit of review for some of you, but it's need to know information. We've talked about macronutrients last week. Now we're going to put that information into play this week. So if you're brand new, don't worry. I will make that all make sense. So you don't have to have been present last week. And then how to decipher your ingredient list. And that's a buzzword list I'm going to go over in depth tomorrow as well. So let's start out with our funnies. I find these memes just hilarious. So you guys can enjoy those while I do my shout outs here. We've got Julie, also known as Jules, down 8 pounds in her first week. Brandy, her fasting blood sugars went from 379 to 145 in just 2 weeks. So that is super, super awesome. That is life changing. She is changing the trajectory of her life. She was very emotional about that. And so clearly she understands the value of what those numbers mean. Your blood sugars are an indication of how far into diabetes that you might be. So if we can lower those numbers, that is a huge, huge deal. Diabetes is a deadly, horrible, but a disease that we have control of through food and lifestyle. So congratulations, Brandy, on that. Sherry said her liver numbers are back to normal, which is huge. Liver numbers are back to normal. So it's not all about weight loss. Liz lost her middle. Her jackets zip up and they fit. Her clothes are fitting. So she's pretty excited and she's pretty new too. So that's awesome. Katya is down 23 pounds and 23 inches. Her cholesterol, she's off her cholesterol medications and off her GLP-1. And her bloat is completely gone. So a huge congratulations to you, Katya. And Pamela is off her blood pressure medications. She just did a 5K, so she's really, really, really going down the living the healthy lifestyle path. And and when she did, oh, I know what I was trying to say. When she did the 5K, they did check her blood pressure, and it was 112/69. So congratulations to you, Pamela, on that. Blood pressure also right up there with your blood sugar numbers. These two are life changing, and they can be life threatening if they go wrong for too long. So these are huge, huge, huge successes. So congratulations to all of you. I do want to welcome Elizabeth, Virginia, Margaret, Trevor, Maureen, Julie, Colleen, Juliana, Joanne, and Amanda. So welcome to our new people. All right, so as you guys know, some of you are brand new, some of you have already graduated, a lot of you are in the middle. You guys know you can take a picture of an item, take a picture of the nutrition facts, but I'm always going to say, send me a picture of the ingredient list, show me a picture of the label, and that way I can take a look at it and tell you whether it's, a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and I'll tell you why. I always want to tell you why so that you learn why. So my point of today's presentation is so that you won't have to ask me as often, or you will be able to tell on your own. Obviously, I won't always be your coach forever and ever and ever. So you're going to want to learn how to figure out some of this stuff because I'm not always going to be your coach. The little birdie's going to fly the nest, and you're going to be able to pick up a container of food item, and you're going to look at the nutrition facts, which is very important, but you're also going to look at that ingredients list, and you're going to know whether it's a good choice or not, based on the material I'm going to give to you today. So that is my intention. That is my goal for you today, so that you will know. If you're brand new, don't feel like you have to memorize all this. Please still ask me, because I'll still give you the why I said yes or why I said no. And that's going to help the learning process as well. All right, so let's start by some of the basic stuff, like what the food companies really don't want me to share with you. I was talking about this with somebody earlier, I believe today. Something that says made with whole grains. It implies that the whole thing is whole grains. You know, the magic word is whole, but the real magic word is 100% whole grain. Because if it's made with whole grains, they could have literally a pinch of whole grains and 99% of just processed grains, like plain old white flour. So made with whole grains implies something that is probably not true even at all. So just be aware of that. Cholesterol free, this is a great way for these companies to get you to buy their product. And it's a great way for them to get you to pay a little bit more for it. So if you've just come from your doctor's and your doctor says, hey, you know, your cholesterol is a little bit high, so we got to watch that cholesterol. And you're looking at a jar of almond butter and it says cholesterol free. And so you pay the extra dollar for that almond butter or that peanut butter or whatever. You're wasting your money, because anything plant-based like almond butter, almonds come from a tree, so it's not coming from an animal. It never had cholesterol in the first place. Cholesterol can only come from animal-based products. So if it's labeled cholesterol, I'm not saying cholesterol free is a bad thing. I'm just saying it implies that it's a healthier choice, when in fact, likely the product never had cholesterol in the first place. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I'm just saying we just need more information to decide whether this product is something that we want to choose to buy or not. All natural implies that it's healthier, but number one rule that we need to know about all natural, there are no guidelines. There are zero guidelines that a food company has to follow to be able to say all natural. So it's really very, in my opinion, very, very misleading. Natural flavors. This is tricky. This is very tricky. And um, I'm really learning a lot from Bobby Parrish and his app, Bobby Approved. You guys definitely want to download that app, because he will tell you, and all you do is scan the barcode of whatever the food item is, and he'll give you a thumbs up and thumbs down, and he'll also tell you why. And so natural flavors, you know, comes up. He hates that word natural flavors, because it could be something that came from something natural, but it can also have up to 99 other chemically things added to it and still be considered natural flavors. I've got someone talking in chat. What's it called, the app? It's called Bobby Approved. Bobby Approved. It's green. It's a green thumb with a B in the middle of the hand. But it's free, and it's very helpful. So I won't always be your coach, but he can kind of sub in for me. But you just take that app, you scan it. But he'll tell you why, like, okay, natural flavors doesn't really mean anything. There's just, again, there's no guidelines for that. It can literally have hundreds of other, or lots and lots of other chemicals and still be considered natural flavors. So that's not always your friend. Plant-based. Now, let me just be extra super clear here. Plant-based, I'm not saying anything plant-based is bad. By no stretch of the imagination am I saying that. What I am saying is, just because it's got the stamp, oh, this is plant-based, does not mean it's a good choice. Sugar is a plant-based item. Soybean oil is a plant-based item. All seed oils are plant-based items. So We just need to do some further investigation. So if you're eating a plant-based diet, if you're eating all these wonderful vegetables, I would call that a plant-based, if I have a plate of vegetables for lunch, that's a plant-based lunch. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying sometimes plant-based is not always good. We just need to do a little bit more research. Gluten-free is kind of the same as cholesterol-free. Sometimes the product never had gluten in the first place, but when everything was coming out about gluten, 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 so gluten-free was the newest, latest, greatest buzzword, 10, 15 years ago. So they're getting you to spend a little bit extra money on the product. Gluten-free products can be higher on the glycemic index, especially when we're looking at pastas or breads, because they're made with rice flour, but that's higher on the glycemic. Might put you into fat storage, might surge those insulin levels. So I'm not saying gluten-free is bad. I'm just saying it's not an automatic, oh, it must be better for me kind of stamp if it's stamped with that gluten-free label on it. Sugar-free versus no sugar added. We just want to make sure sugar-free can often mean that it's got artificial sweeteners in there, like sulfame potassium or ACE-K, or like saccharin, or like Splenda, or sucralose, or aspartame, which is equal. To me, that's what you're going to find in your sugar-free sodas, all kinds of things, Gatorades, all that kind of stuff. So be mindful. We've got to look at our ingredients list. You know this item is sweet, but it says 0 sugars. Okay, what's in it? Why is it sweet? What's it sweet with? You've got to become a little bit of a detective. But my goal, like I said, by the end of this talk today, you will know. No sugar added. It's usually a better choice, not 100%. Again, you got to look a little deeper. So no sugar added. Here's an example, is tomato sauce, like a red sauce, like Victoria's or Rao's marinara sauce. It'll have some sugars because it's made with tomatoes primarily, right? And tomatoes have some natural sugars in them, just that's their natural state. But if you don't add any sugars to it, this product can be labeled no sugar added. Now, if you add table sugar, or if you add even coconut sugar, which is, of course, a much better choice, we learned that yesterday, but they do have to state added sugars if they add any kind of sugars. So just be aware, no sugar added just means, but you see sugars on the label, the nutrition facts, it just means it's naturally occurring. They didn't add it, it was just already there naturally. Hopefully that makes sense. The 5%, 20% rule. 5% means it's low in a thing. 20% means it's a good source of a thing. So let's call the thing fat. So if it's 5% of your daily allowance of fat, that means it's going to be low in fat. If it's 20% or more of fat, then it's going to be it's going to be a good source of fat. So if you want more fat in your diet, then 20% or more is what you're looking for. I'm going to go over that a little bit better right now. So let's look at our nutrition facts. There's a difference between your nutrition facts and your ingredient list. Two completely different things. Nutrition facts is a clue. Your nutrition facts is a clue. Your ingredients are what's going to tell you what you really want to know. So let's start with the nutrition facts. Let's start with the clues. So the first thing you want to know is how many servings per container and what is a serving size. And it's real important you know that because, if you look at a muffin, and this is how I learned the hard way, there was a muffin, a pre-packaged muffin, and the calories was on the low side, the fat was on the low side, the carbohydrates was on the low side. I'm like, God, I thought these were way worse than they are. Well, then I later looked, I realized a serving size is half a muffin, which means the calories were doubled, the sugars were doubled, the carbs were doubled, the fat was doubled. So you really want to know what a serving size is because they trick you. Like, oh, it's only 230 calories. That's not terrible. Yeah, but if you're eating the whole package, it might be triple or quadruple of those calories and fats and sugars. So you got to know what your serving size is. Really, really important. Calories, if it's higher in calories, if they're good quality calories, again, it's a clue. It's not a determining factor. Same with fat. This product, whatever it is, it's got 8 grams of fat. Is that good or is that bad? I don't know yet because I haven't looked at the ingredients list. When I look at the ingredients list and I see, oh, it's got a bunch of avocado in it, or it's made with a bunch of nuts, or it's made with avocado oil. I'm like, oh, that's good. That's worth my 8 grams of fat right there. But if I see palm kernel oil or soybean oil or a vegetable oil, and I'm looking at that and I'm like, okay, those are not fat grams I want at all in my body. So now I looked at the 8 grams of fat, but I saw where those grams of fat were coming from. And a lot of times you're going to have a mixed bag. Some of the fats are going to be healthy, some of them are not. You just got to go most to least on your ingredients list. Your carbohydrates, let's talk about that. This is a little on the trickier side. So there's the umbrella of carbohydrates. So this particular item has 37. Now, if you want to get your net carbs, if you're taking notes, you might want to write this down. Your net carbs, you're going to minus out your fiber. Your fiber is usually the first one underneath carbohydrates. So 37 minus 4 is what? 33, right? So this has 33 net carbs. To me, that's still a little high. I like to aim closer for 20, personally, for me. This particular thing has 12 grams of sugar, but look at there, 10 of those grams are added sugars. Added sugars are typically the things we're trying to avoid. The sugars that are already naturally in the food, like a tomato sauce, or even a yogurt that has lactose, which is a naturally occurring in milk products, that's better than the added sugars. We want to stay away from added sugars as much as possible. So again, this is clue. Those 10 grams is what those 37 carbohydrates is coming from. So you want to be mindful of where those carbs are coming from. So when we look at our ingredients list and we see sugar, we see high fructose corn syrup, we see organic brown rice syrup, corn syrup solids, all of these different types of sugars we learned about yesterday. These are on the avoid list. So again, these carbohydrates, fats, they're all clues. They're not a determining factor. We've got to find out where the fats and the carbs are coming from. Oops.
Tammy, I have a question, if you
Yeah.
can. With the sugars, because gets a little tricky sometimes. Like if they say total sugars, 15 grams, whatever, and then they say the added sugars, is that extra sugar that's not just that 15 grams, or is it the 15
So
total
I,
sugar?
I think I understand your question. So in this example, I don't know where I got that. That's this person who wrote this nutrition facts label. There's total 12.
Hmm.
10 of them are going to be added sugars.
Okay. Okay.
So here's the other thing too. If we have 37 minus 4, if there's sugar alcohols, and that will be right below the sugars or the added sugars, your sugar alcohols like your erythritol, xylitol, mannitol, you minus that out too. So say for example, we have 37 carbs, we minused out the 4, now we're at 33. Say you had 10 grams of added sugar alcohols instead of added sugars. Now we're at 33, we're going to minus out 10 again because it's sugar alcohols, your body doesn't absorb them. So now we're at
Yeah.
23.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah. So basically, how much sugar? I mean, obviously, you're trying to get as low as you can on there. But actually, so when it says added sugar, something that's really kind of bad or negative that you really want to try to avoid that. Is that correct?
correct. If you're
Okay.
going to ask me how many, I'd say aim for 0 every time,
Right. Right.
especially especially in these first 6 weeks, so
Yeah.
that we can get those bad bacterias unfed, and,
Yes. No,
get
I
them.
was just curious on that. And then with carbohydrate, or the carbs, basically, what is your number on that? What do you want to try to stay under if you have to have the
I
carbs?
always go, I'd like to see the total net be around 20 or less.
20 or less. Okay.
20 or less. And we're only having two sources of carbs per day. So if we have, um, so you want to stay in that zone. So maybe there's another meal that has zero,
Okay.
you know, we're just doing fats and proteins and uh, vegetables, you
Yeah,
know,
my case is a little different with the blood sugar thing. I'm still trying to
yeah,
balance and
that's
playing with
right.
that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm
So
trying to.
you're going to need to raise your blood sugars a little bit. So
Right,
making sure that you're having some kind of carbohydrate at each meal for
right,
now. Make it a lower
right.
glycemic load, which we learned was that last week,
Hmm.
right? So but you probably might want to get it at every meal if your blood
That's what
sugars
yeah.
are still kind of dropping to where it's too low and unhealthy for you.
Yeah, I'm playing with it. And that's what I was wondering. That helps with the carbs of just if I keep it to 20 grams or under that each time, at least I'm having it.
And when I
And
say, yeah, when I say 20, if it's 23, like, okay,
okay.
that's close. It doesn't have to be exact. But if it's 37 or 42, I'm like, well, that's way too much.
Right. Right. No, yeah, I
And
get
you
that.
think of that as sugars. Think of that as sugars.
Oh,
So,
the carbs are amazing watching my blood sugar with the monitor. That actually shoots up more than with sugar. I mean,
yeah,
it's really
that
amazing.
makes sense because it
It, it,
turns to
it-
sugar in the body.
yeah, I mean, instantly. Because actually, I found that too. If I have to get the blood sugar up, the carb actually goes up faster than the sugar. It's
Wow.
fascinating to me. So thank you. I
I
appreciate you.
appreciate that share because I didn't know that the carbs actually worked faster than
Yeah.
sugar. My stepdad was diabetic, but he was like you. He had to eat a piece of candy, or he was
Yeah.
getting woozy.
Yeah. Well, I've done pure honey where I've had to do that, but I tried not to, but that's why I'm trying to manage it,
Yeah,
so that I don't have to do that. But I just, it's fascinating to me to learn about all this different stuff. So thank you.
you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, okay, I know what I was going to say. Remember the 5%, 20% rule. All these percentages you see in this purple column, this number 4, the daily values. So in the case of fat, remember we said 5% or less is considered low, or over 20% is considered high. The fat is right in the middle. So it's a medium source. It's got some fat in there, but it's not, if you're trying to get more fat, then it's not it. So let's go vitamin D. We want to get a lot of vitamin D. It's got 10%. It's not 20% or more, so you do need to take some more vitamin D. We want more better sources of that. Or calcium, it's got a 20%, so this item would be considered a good source of calcium. Your iron, it's got 45, so that's great. 6% potassium, I would consider that's a low, source of potassium. So if you're looking to build your potassium, you want something in addition to this particular item. All right, so last week we talked about the macronutrients. We've got
Tammy,
protein. Yes.
sorry, real quick. On the 20 grams or less net carbs, do we want that? Are we allowed that per meal? Or I didn't catch
Per
all
meal up
that.
to 2 times a day.
Yes. All right.
So last week we talked about the macronutrients, and I want to make that make sense in the way of label reading. So we're going to take what we learned last week and we're going to apply it to how we can use that information in label reading. So as I mentioned, your macronutrients are proteins, fats, and carbs. I added an extra, category because veggies technically go in the carbs category, and as you can see by the picture, there it is. So those are the carbs I want you to consume the most of, for sure. Because the other carbs like rice and, even yams and beets and lentils, quinoa, those things are the grainier carbs. We're going to keep those to a minimal because we just learned 2 seconds ago those carbohydrates are what raise our blood sugar. So we want to really keep that part in check for those of us trying to not go up in our blood sugars. So I want to show you today how to apply what the understanding of macronutrients, how to apply that to label reading. So let's start with our carbs. So as we look at our ingredient list and something has carbohydrates in it, and it's got like that example, I had 37 carbs in it. All right, well, that's a clue. Already, I don't like that number, but what's in it? Like, what is in it? So if it's got enriched flour, white flour, bleached flour, wheat flour, things like maltodextrins, modified cornstarch, potato, corn, or cornmeal, these are going to be foods that will make things higher glycemic. If you're looking at an oatmeal, for example, oops, go back. If you're looking at oatmeal and it's instant, so if you choose to bring oatmeal back, that's good and fine, as long as you go old fashioned, like over here, old fashioned original oatmeal versus the instant. The instant's been processed, so it's going to make that food higher glycemic. So again, if you choose to bring back an oatmeal, which is going to be perfectly fine after your 12 weeks. I use oatmeal sometimes as a flour. I put it in the blender and turn it into a flour, and I make some pancakes with that. But use the original. Do not use the instant. So I will be posting this list, the buzzword list, up to the group. So now if we're looking at something that has 37 grams of carbohydrates, but it has the word stone ground, 100% whole grain, buckwheat, whole rye, sprouted is a good buzzword for your breads, flourless, like Ezekiel, cassava, almond, coconut flours. Those are all going to make it lower glycemic. Vinegar helps lower the glycemic index. Yams are a carbohydrate, but they're kind of a medium to low. And anything really high in fiber will also help it become low. And again, fiber is under the category of carbohydrates. So if we're looking at something that's carbohydrates and it's got a lot of fiber in it, that's going to be your friend, because we minus that number out. Your body does not absorb the fiber. The fiber is what pushes the food through. And then it goes out with the food when you eliminate your bowels. So when we're looking at carbs, to apply our macronutrient information, these are some of the words we like and don't like, and that's why. Yesterday, I went in depth of the sugar names, but here are the basic, most common ones. High fructose corn syrup is, of course, the worst. It's the most processed and the most addictive of all the sugars. Evaporated cane juice, brown rice syrup, beet sugar, corn syrup solids, sucrose, dextrose, and even a lot of honeys on the market are not pure honey. A lot of them, half of what's in that bottle is high fructose corn syrup or other sugars or corn syrups or whatever. So we've got to really look at our ingredients list even on things like honey. The things we do want, if you know the item is sweet, but it says no sugar added, it's going to have monk fruit or stevia. Another name for stevia is either Reb A, Reb B, or Reb M. Coconut sugar, date syrup, or maple syrup. Those would be considered added sugars, by the way. They are not free of sugar. So if the item says added sugars, 12 grams, just like our example, but we see on the ingredient list, it has coconut sugar or maple syrup in there, or date syrup, we know it's going to be a better choice than a high fructose corn syrup added sugar. Sugar alcohols, again, erythritol, xylitol, we minus that out, just like we minus out the fiber. But if you know this item is sweet, and it says no sugars added, and you're looking at your ingredients list, you see the erythritol, xylitol, okay, they're natural, but as I mentioned yesterday, they can, not everybody, but they can cause digestive disruptions. Gas, bloating, diarrhea, most common. Here's the things we want to avoid. Okay, so we know this item it says sugar-free, but we look at the ingredients list, we see the words like aspartame, which is like your blue packets or your equal. Another name for it is amino sweet. So they know that we're starting to get wise. So they're changing the names and giving it different names like amino sweet. So we're getting ahead of them. Sucralose is in the yellow packets. That's the Splenda. Saccharin, N-acylsulfame, potassium, or also known as ACE-K. These are sugar artificial sweeteners that are chemicals. So again, the more chemicals we can eliminate from our diet, the better your gut's going to be. These things will wreck your gut microbiome. Please avoid these. I hope you can learn to like the monk fruit or the stevia. Allulose should be on this list as well. So you can add the allulose to that list. If you guys ever want to take your camera and do a screenshot, you can. But I'm going to have the buzzword list loaded to the group today.
I have a question.
Yes.
The stevia, you list A, B, and what's the other one? M?
I'm having trouble hearing you. It's like really sketchy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Do you have earphones in or anything like that?
No, I'm right on a computer.
Okay, I can kind of hear you.
Okay, I'm asking about the stevia. Did we know the differences between those three that you list? Or
No, that's
okay.
just another name for stevia. I think they're different. There's probably different stevia species. I'm guessing on that. Honestly, I don't know for sure. Let me go back. Can I go back? So Reb A, Reb B, and Reb M, because I've looked up Reb A and it came up as it's just another name for stevia. And then I saw Reb M and I'm like, oh, that might be a stevia. Sure enough, it came up as stevia. But there are different versions of stevia, just like there's different versions of rosemary or so many different kinds of, different versions of everything, really. There's different roses, there's all kinds of different flowers. There's different, species of stevia. That's my guess on that. But those would be a better choice if you know the item is sweet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. Thank you. All right. So when we see on your nutrition facts that it has fat in it, okay, that's another macronutrient we need to know about. But is fat good or bad? Well, we don't know yet because we have to do some investigation. We want to look at our ingredient list. So if we go on your ingredients list and you see that it's made with nuts or it's made with seeds, it's made with sunflower seeds or flax seeds or avocado or olive oil or coconut oil, or there's salmon in it. Salmon has naturally occurring fats. Or there's whole eggs, egg yolks, meaning it's a good fat. Or if there's grass-fed butter, ghee, or MCT oil, okay, fat's coming from those things, that's probably a better choice. However, when I looked at that fat, nutrition, it said 8 grams. But if I see the first ingredient was soybean oil, or even canola oil, or vegetable, or sunflower, or safflower, or other seed oils, I'm going to go, nope, nope. Palm kernel oil, that's a saturated trans fat. Shortening, partially hydrogenated. You're going to find that in your margarine. You don't want partially hydrogenated or hydrogenated. So say no to hydrogenated anything. That's the trans fat. That's the stuff that will clog your arteries, that will give you problems with your cholesterol and your cardiovascular system. Margarine, again, if that's what your hydrogenated oils are in, or your seed oils. And if you look at the picture at the bottom here, the Kerrygold grass-fed butter, it's got 2 ingredients. Pasteurized cream from cow's milk and salt. Everything else on the margarine is nothing I have in my kitchen. Nothing. Not one thing on this list is something I have in my kitchen that I use for cooking or baking or meal prep. It's all freaking chemicals. So I cannot stress that enough. Read your ingredient list. Shauna, it looks like your hand is up.
Yes. Okay, so on not this slide, but the slide prior, the items that you said will wreck your microbiome, you're referring to the sucralose, the aspartame, that list.
Yes.
Okay. And not that we eat high fructose corn syrup. I don't buy stuff that has that in it. However, it is in a lot of things when we go to other people's homes.
That's right.
Is that one not going to wreck your microbiome, or does it also
Well,
fall
it
in?
will because it's a sugar. And guess what? The bad guys, the candida
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
bad bacterias, they feed on sugar. And high fructose is a sugar.
Yes.
High fructose corn syrup is a.
It is. I totally get that. Okay. Because I have put a ban in our home, things that are,
I love
I,
that.
I will not let my children purchase anything that has sucralose, aspartame, things like that. What I was wondering though is, do I need to add high fructose corn syrup to the ban list or just be very mindful?
High fructose ban.
Okay.
Because it is the most processed and the most addictive of all the sugars.
Okay.
Even a scoop of, the white stuff that you have, you know, the
Yeah. The
white
cheap
sugar,
cane. Yeah.
table sugar, that you better have that than the high
Okay.
fructose corn syrup.
Okay. So that's that question. Thank you. The next question is on this fats list. What's the difference between coconut oil and MCT
Nothing.
oil? Nothing. Okay. I
I
didn't think
mean,
so.
coconut oil is a medium chain triglyceride.
Right.
That's what coconut oil is. So if somebody's selling you a separate MCT oil, it may or may not have come from coconut oil, but it's either way, coconut oil is a medium chain triglyceride.
Yeah. Okay. Because sometimes I would put a little bit of coconut oil in my Creole brew. And
Yeah,
then I heard about MCT oil and I'm like, well, what's the difference? So thank you
same
for
thing.
that.
Same thing. Now, a lot of used to be Bulletproof Coffee, that's a brand, and they're selling you this special MCT oil. And I'm like, you can just use the coconut oil, it's going to cost you so much cheaper. And I'm like, oh
Tammy?
no, it only works if it's bulletproof because that's what they told me. Well, of course, it's their job to sell their product.
Yeah.
They're in business, that's their job. Their marketing is their number one priority.
Tammy,
So,
I want to say I've seen MCT oil be other than
yeah,
just coconut oil, though. That
yeah,
would be the only other thing I would say about that.
yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure that I heard you right.
Well, there's long chain, there's short chain, and there's medium chain.
Okay,
So coconut oil is that medium chain.
period. And
If
then
you're
the
getting a
other,
medium chain triglyceride from something else, okay.
okay,
But if you're getting it from a coconut, it's a good choice. I don't know where
yeah,
else you're getting it.
okay.
And then final question, lard and tallow. Is lard what comes from
Oh,
pigs and tallow beef, and that's the difference?
tallow I do like, and I should have made it on this list. You want to get a good tallow. Tallow is good. You can put that on your skin and you can cook in it. I'm
Right.
learning more. I was always on the avoid tallow for many years, but it's starting to make its kind of way back. It's a better choice. It's natural. It's not some of this, depending on the lard, like Crisco stuff. I still have
That's
a hard time wrapping my brain around that being a good choice.
Yeah, right. That's also on the ban list. We don't even allow that in our home.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Thank you.
all right. Now on your nutrition label, there's a one thing like it'll say, remember I said the 5-20% rule. So everything has a percent except protein. And the reason for that is everybody's protein need is different depending on your lifestyle and your goals and all of that stuff. But if something has protein in it, I want you just to be aware if it's all nuts and seeds and it has 6 grams of protein or something like that, 10 grams, whatever, but you don't see any whey or even soy or pea protein, it's not going to be a complete protein. It's just not that. Or the same with beans, like a bean dip or something of that nature, some kind of hummus or something made with beans. Oh, it's got protein in it. Well, it does have aminos, but you need all 9 essential aminos present to be considered a complete protein. And nuts and seeds outside of the soybean. Soybean is actually a complete protein. It is a complete protein. Now, soy is a hormone disruptor, so we ask you to avoid it. And edamame, which is where soybeans come from, is also a legume, so we're not having that in those first 12 weeks. But I just wanted to kind of draw that to your attention. But if the item has chicken in it, or dairy in it, or eggs, or whey protein, or pea protein, or soy protein, that is going to be a complete protein. So those, just knowing that you're really not getting a complete source if it's just like a nut bar or a nut cracker. Oh, but it's got protein. So it does have aminos, but not all 9 are going to be present usually. Now you can get a plant-based protein powder, and they usually add, it's a combination of like pea protein and brown rice protein and other different plant proteins, and they'll make it complete. So if it's a protein powder, it's going to be complete. But if it's something else, like a bar, just know that it's probably not a complete protein. So definitely consume other complete proteins with that meal, or before or after that meal. All right, so this one, this one might surprise you, and this is just a basic list. I have the full list. The full list was on Monday, but I do have a buzzword list for you, which all this information is on there. But let's go around some of these things that we want to look at. So sodium nitrates, this is what's found in deli meats, or what's found in things like salami and pepperoni. We really, really want to avoid that. It's high risk for cancers, damages your blood cells, which will eventually turn into cardiovascular disease and high blood pressure. So staying away from sodium nitrates. Again, check your ingredient list. If it's a bologna kind of round, not a normal, chicken or turkey shape, it's been too processed and probably has some of this junk in it. BHA and BTH also put you at risk for cancers. It ages you. It also can affect behaviors, so be aware of that. So as far as food dyes are terrible. As I stated here on the right side, it causes behavior problems, can put you at risk for cancer, DNA damage, inflammation, lots and lots of problems with artificial colors. However, some things are colored with other things that are not artificial. So let's talk about that. So insect names. Nope, that's not a typo. There might be bugs in your food. So if something has in the ingredients list and it happens to be red, it says cochineal extract or carmine. These are I have the picture down below. There's a little red bugs, and their shell is used as a red dye. And frankly, after what I've learned about artificial colors, you might, the bug doesn't seem so bad. I just want you to be able to understand what you're looking at. Confectioner's glaze also comes from a lac bug, gives a product a shiny appearance. And shellac also comes from the lac bugs, gives it that waxy appearance. Methyl cellulose, that's what you're going to find in your fake meats, your dairy alternatives, bread, soups, even personal care products like toothpaste and shampoo. But it can cause digestive disruptions. So it's a chemical, it messes with your gut. We're trying to heal the gut. So we want to avoid a lot of these things. You see it in a lot of those in those fake meats, though. That's where I see it a lot. As we mentioned, artificial flavors. It's artificial. We don't want to do artificial anything when at all possible. I just talked about the artificial colors. Titanium dioxide is another food coloring. And glyphosate is Roundup. And it's what is sprayed on the wheat crops to makes it dry it faster so that they can process it quicker. So what you're looking for is glyphosate-free stamp. They have to follow certain rules and certain regulations to be able to put that stamp like I said earlier, there's some things they stamp like all natural. There's no guidelines, no rules. They can just say it as long as it originally sort of kind of came from something natural and then they changed it. They can still say it. But the glyphosate stamp that says glyphosate free or a minimal amount, they have to go through some rules to be able to say that. So that's what we're looking for on any kind of wheat products, especially. All right, so to recap, we want to look at your serving size, know what a serving is, because a lot of times it's half the package or a third of it. So you have to double or triple your calories and fats and carbs. Your percentages, that's based on a 2,000 calorie diet, by the way. So if you're doing a 1,200 calorie, it's going to be a lot more or less. It's going to be different. So if you're doing a lower calorie diet, you're going to have more fats, so to speak. Let's see here. Once you know which ingredients contribute to which macronutrient, you'll be able to be empowered, as I said. So we used our macronutrient information we learned last week, and then we applied it to what we're looking at in the ingredients list. And again, I will put the buzzword list in the group, so you'll have that. And that is it. You can find the buzzword list, you can find the sugar list, and you can find the top 50 toxin list in drinfantino.club. So with that, does anybody have any questions or comments? I have some people in the chat. Let's see what we got here. Oh, thank you, Shauna. All right. Anybody have any questions or situations coming up that they're not comfortable with that you want to share or need some advice on or anything? By the way, next week is holiday week, right? Yes. Yeah, so next week is holiday week, and then the week after is kitchen hacks, which is where I kind of show you all the tips and tricks to make meal prep fast, cheaper, easier, save time, save money. But I will also gear it towards the holiday. So there's going to be 2 weeks. I'm going to gear that a little more holiday-ish. So whatever recipes I make will be kind of in that holiday zone, so to speak. Broccoli sprouts. Someone's asking about broccoli sprouts in the chat. Broccoli sprouts. Okay, so broccoli is in the category of cruciferous vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables are broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, arugula, those kinds of things. Your cruciferous vegetables are probably the most nutritious, anti-cancer. They're full of vitamin C, they're full of calcium, they're full of good minerals, anti-aging, all the stuff. So you definitely want to consume as much of those as you possibly can. Throw them in your soups and your salads, in your stir fries as much as you possibly can. Broccoli sprouts is broccoli on steroids because it's baby sprouts, so it's concentrated with all the beautiful anti-cancer, anti-aging, antioxidants, vitamins and minerals. So sprouts, alfalfa sprouts, broccoli sprouts, all these little sprouts, these are on steroids as far as nutrition. So throw those in your salads for sure. Throw those in your wraps for sure when you can. So that's my thought on sprouts. Good question. You are welcome.
Tammy, do we have like a cheat sheet, like if we're going shopping, grocery shopping?
Yeah, that's what the buzzword list is going to be.
Okay,
So
fantastic.
I don't think I've loaded it. It is there, but it was from last time, so I need to load it to the top. You can find it if you go to Lable reading and keep scrolling down, you'll find the buzzword there. So after these calls, what I got to do is it takes about 20 minutes to convert the recording. Then I have to load it to YouTube so that I can load it to the email and get that email set up to send out to you guys for Friday. Then I also load up the recording to the group. So that it takes me about an hour to get all that stuff going. Then after that, I can load up the buzzword list to the group as well.
Okay,
But
that-
you should be able to
thank you.
find it in the label reading section. Just
Okay.
keep scrolling down from the last time I did this topic.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I enjoyed that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And also the sugar list is already there, and also the top 50 toxins
Oh.
sheet is already there as well. The buzzword one is the one I went over more so today. And I'm going to do a deeper dive tomorrow on
Okay.
that as well, just so you guys get really clear on that, because we got to know our basics,
Yeah.
just because I won't always be there with you. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys showing up today. I love your questions. I really appreciate all of that. So if nobody has any other questions, I will say goodbye, and you have a fabulous rest of your week.